All right. Hi. If you are totally new and you don't know anything about Clubhouse except for the fact that everyone's talking about it, welcome to one of my new favorite apps on the internet. So you can download the Clubhouse app from the Apple App Store. Apple App Store. That's really hard to say. Sorry if you have Android. It is only on iOS right now for the beta mode, but there's word that it's coming to Android soon. So if you have an iPhone, get it downloaded. If you're on Android, hopefully this training will be relevant to you sooner rather than later. So for those of you who don't know me, I am Jace Curry. So I am a small audience marketing strategist and business alignment expert. I help entrepreneurs figure out their secret sauce that sets them apart from their competition and then leverage the fuck out of that in their marketing. So I work with clients to create super aligned offers and then sell those out, even without thousands of followers on Instagram, because I don't believe that that's something you need in order to make sales. I personally have had 5-figure months in the online space with less than 200 followers on Instagram. And my mission is to help others have profitable businesses as well. So I'm in love with Clubhouse for making connections, positioning yourself as an authority, and really growing your social media accounts organically, which is something that I'm all about. I don't want to do follow for follow or do a bunch of secret giveaways to boost my numbers because I haven't found that that's something that successfully makes sales for me. Maybe it does for you, but typically organic marketing with people who are interested in you, being served by you, is going to be so much more powerful than kind of like follow for follow activity. So before we talk about growing your social media using Clubhouse, I want to go kind of into the technical side of things, and familiarize y'all with the back end. I'm sorry if this is something that you're kind of familiar with already, but I know when I first got on the app, I found myself super intimidated. Like I was like, can people hear me right now? I don't know. So I just want to teach you a little bit about the etiquette and how to use the app in the first place. When you first get on the app, you're going to see this over here to the left. And basically, this is your hallway. So there's going to be a ton of different rooms here that you can check out. Yours is going to look a little bit different than mine because there is an algorithm. I know we all hate that word as entrepreneurs, as people who need to market ourselves, but it's actually not a bad thing. So you kind of can see over in the top left there, there's a little profile looking thing and a plus sign. So when you click on that, you're going to see this screen on the right here, which is where you can find people to follow. So if you know that your friend is on here and her username is Jace Curry, you can go follow her using this feature. And then kind of going back to that first menu at the top, the second icon is going to be any invites that you have with a little envelope. And then the third icon is going to be the calendar. So with this calendar, we can see what's upcoming for you. These will be all your events. And then you can change this to my events, which will be just your events that you have planned and scheduled. So you can see that all in the calendar. If you want to schedule an event, you would just tap that little calendar with the plus sign on the right-hand side there, and that would allow you to schedule any events upcoming. So then with that little bell, similar to all of our social media accounts, right, we're going to have our notifications. So you can set these up kind of however you like. If your friends are pinging you into rooms saying, hey, I'm speaking with so-and-so about this, you should join us. That's where all this is going to be in that notification section. And then if you tap your little picture, that's going to open up your bio where you can share about yourself. We're going to have a conversation about how to optimize this space because Clubhouse is super cool for bios for a number of reasons, but you want to make sure that, your picture's there. It's a picture of your face, you're clear. This is the only way that people can see you in the app because it is audio based. So then we are going to be able to join rooms from the hallway. So you'll see here kind of rooms that are trending, rooms that are suggested for you, again, based on that algorithm. And when you join a room, you'll have this view here on the right. So the first line of profiles that you'll see are the speakers. And anyone speaking will kind of be on stage, as they call it. The next group of people are going to be individuals that are followed by the speakers. So this kind of helps boost know, like, and trust factor, right? If you're followed by the speakers, you're going to be higher up than just all others in the room. So we really want to be engaging and connecting with other people, but we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. You guys can see these green asterisks next to their names. That just means someone is a moderator for that room, and people can be made moderator and then have that taken away. But whoever's the host of the room has the ability to create and add moderators. Anybody with a little celebration emoji, like you see kind of further below, is going to be new to Clubhouse. So that means that they've joined the app within the last week. And we'll talk about etiquette for welcoming them as well. So when we enter a room, I definitely want to recommend that you're joining rooms before you're starting your own, because you want to get a sense for how they work. You're just going to tap on any room in the hallway there that you'd like to be able to enter it. And then if you want to speak in the room, because when you come on, you're silent, nobody can hear you. So when you're in this room, you'll see this little raise hand button in the bottom right. And basically what that allows the moderators to do is bring you onto the stage. And so once you're on the stage, you're brought on unmuted. Good etiquette here is to make sure to mute yourself as quickly as possible when you're not speaking, especially if you have a lot of background noise, etc. Because this is not done automatically. So when you join the stage, you will be unmuted. But if they're taking Q&A, then you'll be able to kind of come to the stage. If they're not taking Q&A, then this may be grayed out. And so what that means is that they're just not accepting any new speakers at this time. And then you can, when you're in a room and you are on the stage and you really like what someone else is saying, it's fun to clap. So you just press and unpress the mute button over and over again. And that basically shows the speaker, I really like what you're saying. I agree. I'm clapping for you. So the bottom menu is where you can start a room by pressing that green plus sign there. And so when you do that, you have kind of different rooms that you can start. You can start an open room, which anybody can join. You can start a closed room. And you want to make sure to add the title to your room before you press the let's go emoji. You cannot go back and edit your room title once that room has started. So this is something that is absolutely crucial. If you press that little next to the starter room, you can kind of see that grid there. And if you press that, that will take you to where you can see what your friends are doing, what rooms they're in. So you can see what rooms your friends are in. You can either join them in that room if it's something that interests you, or you can invite them to join a closed room, which again is just going to be you and them, and then anybody else that you choose to bring in. So, and then when people join your room, you're able to click and hold their profile to add them to the stage or back to the audience or make them a moderator. So you have a couple different controls there that you can do. Again, we'll talk a little bit more in depth about when you're moderating your own room. But now that we have that covered, I want to kind of discuss strategy, etiquette, all these things. I just really wanted to run through this super quick, and we will have time for questions at the end. So if you want to talk, again, raise your hand to join the stage and then instantly mute yourself. Otherwise, everybody can hear everything that is going on in the background. So if you see a celebration emoji near someone's name, means they're new. If you're moderating a room and they ask to be on your stage, welcome them, say, hey, welcome to Clubhouse. Thank you so much for being here. And you can kind of shepherd them a little bit more, maybe than you would with someone who's a little bit more experienced, right? Like someone who's more experienced in the app is going to kind of know, okay, where to jump in. But if you see them unmuting and they're not getting a chance to talk, maybe saying, hey, Sarah, did you have a question? Did you have something to add? And just kind of advocating for them a little bit. When you see a gray circle around someone's name, that means they're talking. So if you're like, oh, wait, who's saying that, especially with a larger stage and there may be many rows to kind of scroll through, you're able to see who's talking based on the gray square around their name. So one of the biggest things about Clubhouse is that it's meant to be a very community-driven app. And so the intention is, if you're inviting somebody to Clubhouse, if you have someone who's new to Clubhouse, onboard them. Ideally, you want to get this person in a room for maybe the first 10 minutes that they're on the app. If that's something that's not possible for you, feel free to share this video with them. It will be going out and it will be on my YouTube channel after. So, let them know what the etiquette is, because it can be really intimidating at first to be a new user on this app and be like, okay, what's going on? How do I do all these things? And each room has its own etiquette based on the group, the speakers, what's going on. I always recommend listening for a little bit before you start to engage. You don't want to be in the bull in the china shop that just barges right in and they're like, well, actually, like, we're not doing value adds right now. We're just answering questions. So please don't share your expertise here. And just kind of getting to know the group and what's going on prior to contributing to the conversation. One thing I will say is that people are really willing to help, even if that topic has kind of already been covered. I'll often come into a room that says it's about one thing, the subject has kind of changed, and just saying, hey, I missed the first part of this conversation. Would somebody mind recapping ways to, shake up your Instagram bio for me, if they're just talking general Instagram tips at that point. And so people are usually really willing to kind of circle back, and just keep that in mind if you're moderating as well, because it is such an open forum and people kind of hop rooms as they please. Oftentimes I find that there's so many interesting conversations going on that I really want to be a part of them all. So just being kind and helping others goes such a long way. When you are doing your bio, there's no character limit on Clubhouse, which is super cool, especially if you've done your Instagram bio like one too many times trying to figure out, how can I make less words in this sentence, right? So there's no character limit. The first 3 lines of your bio are going to be kind of visible when people are looking at your profile from within the app. So like if they're clicking on your name as a speaker, the first 3 lines are going to be what's visible. So this is your prime real estate. Like this is your, you want to be very clear on who you are, what you do, who you serve within those first 3 lines. I read people's entire bios because I'm like, wait, this is so fascinating. And they can put so many different things in there. But again, we really want to stop the show and say, hey, you should read the rest of this bio because I'm awesome, right? Use keywords that people search for, because again, when they're searching for people, they can also search for keywords. So for example, Danielle, like you do website design. And so that's the kind of thing you want to have in your bio. If people are searching like, how do I make a website? Like if you know what your audience is consistently asking, put those keywords somewhere in your bio. There is no direct messaging in the app. However, they have set up a way to integrate your Twitter and Instagram links if these are platforms that you use. If you do not currently use Instagram for business, 12 out of 10 recommend personally. That's the majority of where my sales come from, but you want to give people other ways to engage with you in the app. So if like I'm not on Twitter, I don't know, I think I have an account from like 2007 or something, but if someone were to message me there, I would probably never see it. So I'm not linking my Twitter just because it's not a platform that I use. You want to be responsive, you want to be able to talk to people. So only use platforms that you use. Those are going to be direct links, so people click them and they'll be able to go right to your profile. You can put links in your bio itself. They just won't be clickable. But like, for example, you have easyasPieDesign.com, you could put that in there and people would then be able to just copy and paste it into their browser. So we can always add other links, other sites, other profiles. If you have a Facebook group that you host and that's going to be a good way for people to connect with you, put that in there. You always want to put ways to find you, right? I have my freebie in there as well as a call to action. And so this is going to be something we want people to take action after seeing our profile. Again, most of my people, I want them to connect with me on Instagram. That's where I post the majority of my content. So my call to action is DM me Clubhouse on Instagram to get my free niche checklist. And so they have access to this if they DM me. And then I'm able to grow my following in that way. It encourages them to take action in some capacity. If you just put your website on there, there's no incentive to click that. But if you host a blog and your most recent blog post is about, manifesting money, and here's 5 steps to manifest money, people will click that. We just have to give them incentive. You always want to be yourself, A, on social media in general, but B, in your bio. Like I say in mine, I use bad words sometimes because I do, like that's me. And you always want to be really, really authentic. If you have recurring rooms that you host, those are going to be rooms that you host at the same time every week. So like I do entrepreneur coffee chats on, I think Thursdays or Tuesdays, I don't remember, at 4 p.m. But I want to put that in there. So like any recurring rooms that you host, I'm about to start doing an Instagram bio audit once a week as well. So that will go in my bio with the dates or with the day of the week, with the time and how people can find you. You can also, like I said, change your profile picture. You want to make sure that it's just a really clear picture of you and people can get a sense of what you look like. The nice thing about this is it's not a visually based app, right? Like how many of us are a little sick of having to curate perfect content for Instagram? But at the same time, like you want to be friendly, facing the camera, just so people can kind of get a sense that you're an actual human being. So if you're a moderator, always kind of have an idea of what kind of conversation you're having. So if it's just you presenting a topic and you want to have a Q&A after, like this, for example, you may want to keep hand raising turned off while you're presenting. And that way people aren't continuously raising your hands and you're trying to ignore these notifications. If it's an open conversation, I always, and most of mine are on Clubhouse, I always recommend saying something like, hey, I invite you to raise your hand if you'd like to share or you have questions at any point. And so that really just reminds people, oh, I can join this stage. Like I can get up here. I can ask questions. Some people like an invitation. Some people don't know what the room etiquette is in general. And so it's just really nice to be very clear about what that is. I also like to recap the room. So like I said, people are going in and out. And so a way to recap would just be like, hey, for those of you joining us, just to recap, I'm Jace Curry from Mindful Business Accelerator. And today we're discussing strategies for leveraging Clubhouse, right? It's really simple, short and sweet. People will ask questions if they miss something, and that's totally okay. And you can invite everybody to follow the moderators. So if this is a room you're hosting, you're a moderator, that's going to help boost you in the Instagram. Oh my gosh, in the algorithm, it's going to show like, hey, this person's relevant. People are following them. They're hosting rooms that are converting. And so just reminding people, hey, I invite you to follow me if you're finding this room helpful, if you're finding this content valuable. And you can also have people ping their friends into the room. So when you're in the room, there's a little plus sign at the bottom. And you can just say, if you're enjoying this conversation and you have a friend you'd like to share this with, I invite you to ping that person to join us into the room. We want to grow our rooms. We want people to spend time in them, and we want to be followed after. That's going to show like, hey, this person's valuable. They're delivering good content, because Clubhouse is all about the community. So we don't want to abuse the ping feature. Like, obviously don't ping your whole friends list. Don't ping people who, if they're jewelry makers and you're listening to someone talk about soap making, it's not going to be relevant to them. Like, don't add them, right? We don't want to abuse this, but we want to share connections that are relevant and conversations that are relevant to others. If you're a moderator, also teaching people how to mute is just a polite thing to do. Not everyone's going to know this. So saying, all right, I'm going to open up hand raising. When you're called to the stage, please just be sure to mute yourself by pressing that microphone button. Thank you. Because not everyone's going to know that they're unmuted. The first time I got called to the stage, I was like, oh my God, what's going on? So again, just kind of sharing onboarding and sharing knowledge. If you are contributing in a room, so once you're on the stage, introduce yourself if the room allows it. So some rooms are going to say, please no intros. We just want to get through as many questions as possible, and just kind of be mindful of that. But if the room allows it, always introduce yourself. Have an elevator speech prepared. Hi, I'm so-and-so. This is what I do. You guys heard mine at the very beginning. And so that's how I start most conversations. And then I would put in my value add or ask my question. And I always like to just thank the hosts. Obviously, if the last 12 people have done that too, then it's a bit redundant at that point. But, just saying thank you for answering my question. Thank you for hosting this room goes a long way without going on and on for, 45 seconds about how thankful you are for them. So at any point, even if you're just listening to a room, follow people that you want to connect with, message them. There's no DM feature on Clubhouse yet, but you can message them on Instagram, you can message them on Twitter. And honestly, every time I've spoken in a larger room, I've had a ton of followers that came from that and a ton of messages that came from that. And that's so appreciated, because it's like, okay, people were actually listening, right? Like, I made an impact on someone enough for them to click DM in Instagram. Because it's not like one hoop that they jumped through, they jumped through 3. And so it's always really nice when you want to connect with someone, instead of just following them, sending a message saying like, hey, I really appreciated the conversation that you had about fur in the fashion industry. Like, I appreciated your point of view on this. Thank you so much. Whatever it is. And you can always create a room based on what people want to hear about. So if a topic is touched on, but it's not really addressed, or even if the question is answered in a room, you can always go on and create your own room about that later on and kind of use that as a funnel for content creation. So if you know that there was someone that you connected with earlier and they didn't really get their question answered, just letting them know, like, hey, I'm hosting a room, at this time, if you'd like to join, we're going to be chatting about this, doing a Q&A, etc. And then with any strategy, right, especially with Clubhouse, we have to decide what our goals are. So is it going to be to grow our Clubhouse following? Is it going to be to grow our organic following outside of Clubhouse? Is it going to be just to make connections? What is our intention behind what we're doing? And I want to give you guys a couple of tips on kind of the main goals, I guess, here. So if you want to grow your Clubhouse following, time on the app does matter. That will help boost you in the algorithm. Again, especially if you're participating, if you're speaking in rooms, if you're being followed, etc. There are a lot of follow for follow rooms right now. Don't do it. Clubhouse actually just announced that they're cracking down on these because they're totally messing up the algorithm because everyone wants 10,000 Clubhouse followers. I don't even know. You don't even get a cool feature in Clubhouse if you have a ton of followers. So just something to keep in mind. They are starting to crack down on these. I would not recommend joining any follow for follow rooms. Joining big rooms is really cool. You don't necessarily get the environment that you have with a smaller room, but you never know who's in these rooms, especially these bigger rooms. And then host rooms as well. Invite your friends, invite people to join, connect with others and do collaborations as well. This is something that I'm really passionate about starting. So I'm going to be doing some collaborations on Clubhouse. If you would like to collaborate with me, please let me know. Because I love helping other people host rooms and then having another voice in mine as well. And so remind people to ping others into your room. Maybe, after every 3 or every 5 questions, just kind of say, hey, if you're finding this valuable, invite someone in. Be authentic. This is the best marketing. This is like being yourself is always the best marketing there is. Be real. Just because people can't see you, it doesn't mean they won't figure out if you're a fraud. So if your goal is to grow your following outside of Clubhouse, so you're looking to grow your email list, get on stage and deliver massive value in both big rooms and small rooms. Again, like I'm a huge believer that numbers don't matter. Yes, to some extent, sales is a marketing game, but I would rather have 10 people who want to buy from me than 1,000 people with one person who wants to buy from me in that group. So when we're delivering massive value, when we're attracting the right people, it's going to be so much more powerful than like just doing a follow for follow and no one cares who you are or what you do. You never know who you're going to meet in these rooms. So like I was in Grant Cardone's room yesterday talking to him about a nonprofit that I serve on the board for, which is insane, guys. Like you never know who's in there. You never know what kind of big names or how people can deliver value to you, stuff like that. So really just get out there and have a strong call to action in your bio. Incentivize people to want to connect with you outside of Clubhouse. Like I said, you get a niche training if you DM me Clubhouse on Instagram. So that like, it's an exchange, right? They're coming into my world. They're coming into my circle. I provide a ton of free value. And that's just one thing. If your goal is to make connections on the app, follow these people, see what rooms they're in, and then get in there with them. And engage, even when you don't expect to get anything out of it. Again, always be sure to be adding value, but be adding value as much as possible. Be engaging as much as possible. And for example, like there was a girl in the room I was in yesterday who runs a nonprofit in Dallas, and she was having supply chain issues. And so, these several billionaires in the room, several multimillionaires in the room are giving her advice on how to solve her supply chain issues for her small nonprofit. At the end of it, one of the guys was like, hey, make sure you send me a DM on Instagram because I have a connection at the Dallas Cowboys that I would like to hook you up with to help serve your nonprofit. And this is like not a once in a lifetime thing. This is kind of the most extreme example that I've seen personally, but I'm hearing more and more stories of this, of just good people who want to use this platform to do good things. So like we talked about, connect with people who interest you, reach out to them, even if it's just to say like, hey, I found your story really inspiring, and take the time to authentically, right, send them a DM. If your goal is to make sales, you need a strong sales funnel. Showing up and giving value will not make you sales if people don't know how to pay you after. So if people go to your profile and they're like, okay, great, what do you sell? And they can't find anything to buy, they're going to go buy from someone else. No matter how much free value you gave away on Clubhouse, no matter how great your Instagram reels are, if people can't figure out how to pay you, they are not going to. Host recurring rooms to position yourself as an expert. So again, like if I know that every week so-and-so does a training on Instagram bios, or so-and-so does a training on, money miracles or money manifestation, I'm going to follow them, and I'm probably going to show up to this room every week and make it a part of my routine. Do not let Clubhouse just be a time-consuming hobby where you are showing up and giving away value, but have no way to make sales out of it. We always lead with value. We always lead from that place of service, right? But again, if you don't have a strong sales funnel, you are literally just spending hours on an app talking to people who have no way to pay you. One big thing for me this year is I'm really looking at the intention behind everything that I'm doing. So before I get on the app, I say, okay, how can I serve today? Who am I here to serve? What do they need to hear? And sometimes I figure it out while I'm in the app, but I don't want to just go and scroll through a bunch of rooms and try to find something that's interesting to me. Sometimes I'm there to learn. Sometimes that's my intention behind it. But really showing up to serve with that intention versus letting it be like scrolling through Instagram or scrolling through Facebook, which we all do too much of, right? So I hope this video was helpful for you. Let me know in the comments below if you have questions about Clubhouse. Thank you so much. I will see you guys soon. Please reach out to me at Mindful Biz Accelerator on Instagram. If you have any other questions, think of anything else, anything like that. Chat with you soon. Bye for now.